Hi guys, welcome back. Guys, I'm audible. Okay, let's check with them. Check with the people. Okay, that's fine. Sorry for the delay, guys. It took some time for me to complete the things and come back. Chalo, let's get started. Yep. Good afternoon. Okay. Um, we will see. We'll see in the queue, Sandeep. Okay. So on the previous session, like we started discussing on the IAM, right? So IAM is basically uh, it's a authentication and as well as the authorization service, right? So authentication and as well as authorization service means who can access this platform, means who can access your AWS platform, right? So in that platform, like we have like different services, right? We have EC2, VPC, RDS, S3, lot of services are there, right? So now in this platform, like who can access, who are the persons can access this platform, and as well as what they can do on the platform, like on the different services. It's like that, right? So why we basically needs this authentication and as well as the authorization kind of a service here, right? The thing is that when we sign up to the AWS account, as we discussed in the previous session, that we have given some email ID and we'll create some password and all those things, right? So when we sign up to the AWS account, AWS will create the account with one user, right? With one user, and that username will be your email ID and the password will be the password whatever you've given, and that will be the root user. So in AWS platform we call it as root user, right? So root user means basically the administrator in Windows. So administrator in Windows means he can install, uninstall, we can do anything, right? Copy, paste, delete, create, do the partitions, everything we can do it. So the same thing, right? So here also, so the root account. So when you're signing up, so what actually you're doing is you're signing up to the AWS platform, you're creating an account. In that account, with that account, AWS is giving you, AWS is creating a user privileges, user credentials with the email ID and the password, and that will be that will be the basically the admin privileges. So he can do anything, right? So in the organizations, just one second, guys. There is somebody kind of complaining. I think others are able to listen, Mohammed. Others are able to listen. Check from your end. Okay, so AWS will create some authentication information, the credentials, and that will have all the privileges, right? So now, but in the organizations, when you go into the organizations, a lot of people will be there, like a lot of people with different experience and different technologies of experience, different skill set and different skill set levels. So if you take maybe infrastructure side, you'll be having L0, L1, L2, L3 kind of people will be there, right? So if you go to database administrators or network engineers or even developers also, it's the same story. I mean, you'll be having the people who just came from the uh, like maybe the graduation. After completing the graduation, they may just get into your organization. Some people will come with some experience, like maybe 2 to 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, like that, right? So when you're managing AWS account for your organization. If you're managing the organization account, so obviously you'll be having some team, 5 members, 10 members, 15 members, based on your requirement, your clients, right? How many services you are using and how much you are using. Based on that, you'll be having the people, and the people will work across, I mean, around the clock, 24 by 7, 365 days. So the same way, developers will access some services in AWS. Network engineers will access some services in AWS. Database administrators will need access to some services. So like this, some of the other people, they want to access this your platform, the AWS platform. So for all the guys who needs access, you cannot give this root credentials. You can give it, but the thing is that if you give the all the credentials, right? So if they are good at AWS, if they're good at cloud computing and things, it's fine. But if they're not, if they don't know much about it, right? So by mistakenly or accidentally or wantedly, you don't know, right? So by any chance, yes, right? By there any chance they might do some mistake. And so in platform, in this AWS platform, you'll all be having what you might be having: your production resources, development resources, testing resources. You might be having your lot of data and all those things. So within a few clicks, 1 or 2 clicks, you might create, and as well as you have the option of deleting as well, right? So you have a lot of options, a lot of features we can do it, but within 1 or 2 clicks you can even destroy the things. Within 1 to 2 clicks you can create, and the same with, you can also destroy. So means you can delete the servers, you can delete the databases, you can delete your data, right? So if you delete an S3 bucket, what will happen? Like whatever the data it might have, you might have terabytes of data, petabytes of data, so it will be deleted. Control shift delete, there is no way to restore, right? So that's why you need to provide the authentication to the people who needs access to this platform, this AWS platform, and what they need in this platform. Do they really need all the platform access? I mean, do they really work on all the services? Nobody will work on all the services, right? Nobody will work on all the services. So based on their project, based on their role, right? So they'll work on some services or maybe 1 or 2 services. And in that 1 or 2 services also, they need, it's not like they need all the privileges. They might need only few privileges. So you have to basically give the authentication and with some authorization to do what they just need. Don't give everything to everybody, right? So you have to be very careful, very cautious in giving those privileges, permissions, right? So check with them what they want to do and how they want to do, then create them according to it. So let's take an example. If we want to do it now, there is a new employee came in, there is a new employee came in, right? And if we want to give him the privileges, so he's basically a fresher. Let's take an example. He just come, he might done some kind of a training, he knows some hands-on, but we cannot trust him. We have just seen in the interview, so we have to maybe take a look for like 2 to 3 months, maybe that probation period and all, then we can give him the full access. But now, for now, we just want to give him our account access only for just, he can go and see the configurations, he can go and see the configuration, but he cannot have any option to make any changes, to make any modifications, right? So let's see like how we can do that. First we have to do that, first we have to go to the IAM. So under the services, let's go to the IAM. Identity and access, you can see under security and identity and compliance, you'll be having it. Just open that. One second guys, I'm getting a call, I'll just come back in a minute. Hi guys, welcome back. Uh, so this is basically the landing page of the IAM console, right? So if you see on the left pan, here you can see you'll be having option for groups, users, roles, policies. So we'll just go with all the things one by one. I'll just open my pen so that I can design on the screen. Okay, here you can see on the left pan, you can see you'll be having groups, users, roles, policies, all these things will be there, right? So we'll go by one. These are all very simple things. If you go to the users, you know what is users means. So I'm telling you the employees, right? So users means basically the persons who needs access to your account, to this platform, right? So in operating system we'll create users. While installing the operating system, we'll create the username and the password. So what is that username and password means? Using that, a person can log into the operating system and he can use that system, your laptop, your desktop, your server, anything, right? So the same way here as well, we'll create a user and password, and then with using that, he will be able to log into this account, right? Let's see how we can create it. It's very simple process. Click on add user. Now here we need to specify the username. So let's say the new user name is, let's say, Gaurav. Let's take an example. This is a new employee who is going to be joined in our team. His name is Gaurav. And if you come down a bit, we see, if you come down a bit, you can see there is an here the username I have given. You can add multiple users at the same time by just clicking on this. Right, you can add multiple users if you want, but I'll just go with one user is fine. Select AWS access type. So here what is this option is telling that, so this user whatever we are creating, or some users whatever we are creating, like how they will access AWS, right? The question is saying, this option is saying how they will access AWS. So you might wonder, like, why this kind of an option here? We're all accessing the AWS using this platform, right? I mean, using this console till now, right? But there are like couple of more ways we can interact with the AWS platform, right? Those are all like using AWS API, CLI, SDK, and some development tools, right? We can use some development tools. So here, this API, SDK, and these development tools will be used by the developers. So who normally integrate the applications with AWS platform, right? So they will use this application programming. API means application programming interface, and SDKs means software development toolkits. Development tools means we'll see like one or two tools in this session itself, so that we can understand what are those tools and all those things. And we have this CLI as well. So if you want to automate some tasks, like you want to automate a task of creating an instance, or you want to automate a task of creating a VPC, right? So what they can do, they'll use some commands to do that. So we'll see all these things, how it, but I mean, not all these things because we are not developers. So not this, but we'll see the CLI and then development tools, application programming interface, API means. Okay. So the user Gaurav, who, how he wants to access this account. If he's a developer, he wants to integrate the application with AWS resources and all those things, then you can go with the programmatic access, right? And then if you want to, like us, you want to manage the AWS platform and services and the resources, then you can give AWS management console access. Now we can see, right? So let's give this one. So most of the time, 99.99% in the organization, when you get into any organization, you might get these console access only. So nobody will give you that CLI access or use some tools to do that, right? So that is only specific requirement. If you want to do some task, they might go with this programmatic access. So I will show you that how it will be configured and how it will look like, right? So we'll see that. These are basically the default one, the de facto. Mostly everybody will go with this, right? The AWS Management Console access. And here you see the console password. If you want auto generate or a custom password, you can give some password. So I'll create some password. And then if the user want to be change the password by himself, you can check this one, otherwise uncheck it. Click on next, and next you see it is having an option called permissions. So if I click on permissions, and you see that there are again couple of options there: add users to group, copy permissions from existing user, attach existing policies directly. So these are all some kind of an options. I'll not go through it right away. First I'll create the user with the default. I'll just go with the next. I'm not doing anything here, we'll see later. Let's click on next, tags, let's click on next review and create a user. So the user has been created, you can see that. Let's close this window of the user creation. Now you can see the user has been created, right? Now let's open in another browser and try to log in with the Gaurav. So we have created user. Let's try to log in with it. Now how we log in? We have to open console, right? AWS console. So here what we need to do, we need to enter the username and the password. But here, if you enter Gaurav, let's say, and click on next. So take one simple scenario here. Let's say I have created an account named Gaurav, right? So the same name, there is one more employee in your organization, let's say, and you have created with the same name Gaurav. So you have a Gaurav user account in your account, and I have a Gaurav named Gaurav user account in my AWS platform. So when I click on Gaurav, when I specify Gaurav and click on next, how AWS will basically distinguish between which Gaurav is this? Is it in Satish account or is this in your account? How AWS will distinguish, right? So for that reason, so if you go to the dashboard here in our account, in actual account, you see there will be a link will be there for IAM user sign in link, which means if any IAM user want to sign in, so this is a link. So this is a very simple link. The only thing is that, so this normally we have seen signin.aws.amazon.com/console, this is normal link only, but it will be prefixed with your account number. Simple. It will be prefixed with your account number. You just click on copy here. Now what we need to do, we have to use that. So I think you have all accessed my Route 53 account, right? So this is how you will access, right? So now we can see what we are doing. We are trying to log into this account with the name Gaurav. Password, whatever the password which I have given. Click on sign in. Will be logged in. Now Gaurav user logged in, right? Now let's go to EC2 and try to do something. Maybe try create an instance or something like that with the credentials. Now you see when I came into EC2, where AWS is saying something, you see, you're not authorized to describe running instance, you're not authorized to describe elastic APIs. So what is describe means here in AWS terminology? Describe means read. Means it's saying that Gaurav, you're not authorized to read how many elastic APIs are there, how many running instances are there, and all those things. And if I go to the instances, I'll get the same error. You see, an error occurred fetching instance data. You're not authorized to perform this operation. I just created the username and the password and he logged in, but he is not able to do anything, right? So if Gaurav needs to do anything, even he needs to see like what is the configuration, like how many EC2 instances are there, how many load balancers are there, what is auto scaling group, configurations of auto scaling group, right? Launch configurations. So if he even if he wants to do that also, still he needs the permission, right? So if you just click create a user and password, that will not be enough. So we have to give him some permissions. So without a permission, if you create a user, he just can log in. That's it. He cannot do anything. He cannot create. He cannot modify. If you go to, let's try to modify even. Let's go to maybe a security groups and see. He's not able to see. You see that? He's not able to view anything. He cannot be able to do anything. Not just only on Singapore region. If you go to any other region, it will be the same story. You will not be able to do anything on anything. So by just creating a username and password, it's not like you're giving the access, right? You're giving the access. So the thing is that, so while creating the user, if we go to, we have seen some second step, right? So there, let's say I'll just give some name, click on next. So here you see the option is set permissions. So here we can set permissions. So the permissions will be set by using a concept called policies in IAM. There is an option called policies in IAM. So what is this policies? Basically means nothing but it's just a document, right? So there are, in the document it will be listed. So what are the permissions? Means what this user can do and cannot do. That will be listed in that document. That we call it as the policies. If you want to see like how the policies and all, let's go to the policies. If you go to the policies, it will list you a lot of policies will be there. You can see like it's around like 494 results are there, around 500 policies are there. So these are all like different policies will be there, and you can filter these policies as well. And these policies will be based on job function. Let's say if you want to see based on the if you want to see the policies based on job, like you need to give permission for a database administrator or a network administrator or a server administrator, like that you can check this one, so that it will list you based on the job. Database administrator, network administrator, data scientist, support user, system administrator, view only access, like this, right? You can do this, or else you can go and manually see the list. I mean, see this all those 500, and you can go and give the this policies. So here in this 500 policies, so the policies will be like based on the layers will be there. So on the each policy, it's like some policies will define the access and the authorization, right? Some policies will define the authorization at the whole account level, means all the regions, all the services. Some policies will define services level. Like let's say if you want to give only EC2 access, then search for EC2. You'll get the only policies which are related to EC2. Now you can see here EC2 full access, EC2 read-only access, right? So let's say if I give one policy EC2 read-only access, it's there. So this means anybody who has this policy, I mean, whichever the user, right? So that user can only access EC2, and that too only read-only. He can view the results. I mean, he can view the resources and all those things. Let's try giving this permission to Gaurav. Let's go to this user by clicking on his name. We'll go into that, and if you can see permissions here, let's click on add a permission. So when you click on add permission, you'll go to the same page, the second page of the user creation. Let's go to the attach existing policies directly. Click on it, and here it will list you the same policies list. You see that. Let's search with EC2. Let's come down. We'll see we want to give EC2 read-only access. This one. Select that. Next review and add permission. Now we have given the Gaurav access to EC2, but only read-only access. Let's go and see Now previously when I click on dashboard, we got an error, right? But now you see this guy Gaurav didn't get any error here. He's able to see the things. If you go to instances, previously he got an error, you're not authorized, but now he will not. You see that? It's saying we don't have any instances. Let's maybe go to security groups and see. You see here, we are able to see the all these things. So let's click on this Linux firewall. Maybe let's try modifying it. Edit inbound rules or something like that by add a rule. Let's say he wants to allow all traffic, let's say, from all the location. Click on save. Sorry. Let's see, he did that or not. Oh, what happened? Just gave him only the read-only access, right? Now you can see. It's saying, could not update your security group rules. He's saying, you're not authorized to perform this operation. You say, let's maybe add saying that add a rule for enabling which one, let's say this service HTTPS from all the locations. Just click on save and you see it's the same thing. So he can able to view, but he cannot be able to edit. I mean, he cannot be able to add. Let's maybe try deleting it and see. Now he is able to delete that. Let's try deleting all the rules. Let's click on save. You see, could not update. Right, we cannot be able to save all the rules intact. So he can only see the things, but he cannot make any changes. Not just only with this region. If you go to any other region, it's the same story. Right. So here, if you go here as a let's maybe launch an instance. Now let's by clicking and launch an instance here. Let's go with the default options and try creating it. Now we see he's not able to, right? So he's not able to create the anything. I mean, he cannot be able to do anything, right? 3 months, Amar. You can use it for till 3 months post completion of the course. You'll be having access for 3 months. Okay, so this is how basically the policies will work. So you can give these policies, as I told, based on service level or based on account level also. Jobs level also we have seen, right? So there are two more important policies here. One is called administrator access. Administrator means he can have the full access. He can do anything. Same like um, the root account. The root account means which whatever be the user we have as the root account. So root account can have all the access, right? So the same way. If any user who wants a same level of access, then we can go with this administrative access. And there is one more access called power user access. Search with power user. This one, power user access. So the difference between the power user access and as well as the uh, admin access, administrator access is it? So the power user is, it's very similar to admin only, but he is kind of like, he will be having very similar access as administrator, but he will not have any access on IAM, which means this power user, let's say if I give Gaurav made as power user, means I gave him the policy, I attach the policy as power user, then he can able to do anything like on EC2, RDS, VPC, everywhere, S3, RDS, everywhere he can do all the things, but he cannot go to IAM and he cannot create the users, maybe he cannot delete the users, he cannot change the policies, means the permissions, he can't do those things, right? A power user means it's very similar with the same options as administrator, but without having the IAM access. That is the only difference between the power user and as well as the administrator user, right? So based on the requirement, so you have to check with them what they want the access, how they need, which service they need, and how they need, right? Do you need full privileges or do you need uh, specific privileges, right? You need to check and then do it. So most of time, right, most of the time you can complete your requirement with these policies. So this policy is like uh, well sufficient, but sometimes it will not be, right? So sometimes these policies might not be effective. In that case, what we can do, we can create our own policy as well by clicking on create policy. Just click on create policy here, and here this will be a very simple way we can create the policies, right? So you can select the service, like let's say you want to create a custom policy saying that you want to give a user full privileges on EC2, but you want to, let's say, uh, you don't want to give terminate access all the instances. So all the production servers are there, you want to give all the access, he can create the instances, he can stop the instances, restart, he can do all, he can modify the change, the security group changes, he can create load balances, all those things. But what you want is that you don't want him to delete, you just want to, I mean, you just don't want them to delete the instances. For that reason, what you can do, simple here, select a service, click on choose a service, to which service you want to give the privileges. You can select multiple services. Let's go with EC2 here, click on EC2, we have selected, right? In the EC2 you'll be having the actions, you want to give all the actions, you can select all the actions. All the actions means you can create, delete, modify everything, right? So if you don't want all the actions, you want to very specific, then what you can do, so the access, I mean the actions are listed three ways: list, read, write. Read means he can only just read, write means he can modify, list means he can be able to see the list, how many are there and all those things, like this. Describe volumes, describe volume status, right? And describe regions, like these things will be there. So it's like that. And if you want to give the describe option, select all, right? You can select. And for the read, here you can see very few are there, right? You can give it. If you go to the right, this is where actual things like you can create, delete, modify, and all the things will be there. Create VPC, import snapshot, import value, right? All these things, creating, modifying, deleting, all the things. It's like this here. You can go on like start instance, stop instance, terminate instance. You see that. Create subnet, create tags, create snapshot, like this. All the things will be there. Uh, so you just need, I mean, these are all the actions what we do, right? Delete snapshot, delete tags, delete subnet, all these things, right? So modify, delete, create, all these things will be there. Now let's say what do you want, let's say you want to select all, take an example, you want to select all, right? So now come down a bit, on EC2 you want to select all, so all will be selected by default. Let's maybe minimize this one. Now he's selected for all the actions in EC2. Now we can add additional permissions as well, right? So if I click on it again, I can add more. Again, I can select a different service, let's say S3 or RDS, VPC, something like that, right? ELB, auto scaling, like that we can select, right? And if I go here and see, so I've given all the actions here, right? I've given all the access here. Now I'm adding one more service, and if you see here, the above one, which is basically it's displaying, it's saying here, specify the actions allowed in EC2. What we are saying, allowed. So when we are giving these permissions, you can say that you want to allow or deny. Means whatever the selected ones you want to allow or deny. So now these are by default allowed. Right now, let's say I will go and create one more a statement. This one, choose a service. Here also I will select EC2. Right, and now by default it's allowed, right? So what I'll do, I'll switch to deny permissions here. Click on deny permissions. Now you can see it is switch to deny. Now which one I want to deny? I want to deny the, let's say, terminate instances. Let's go to the right and search for the particular actions you want to deny, right? So whatever you want to deny, you just go there and deny it. Let's, I'll go with the simple thing, terminate instance. I want to deny the terminate instance action. Just only one selected, and I can create and review the policy. Now here if you see, what I did is that in the first statement I said all allowed, everything is allowed, which means in that terminate instance also is allowed. Now in the second statement, what I'm telling that deny that one action of terminate instance. Now in the same policy, I'm saying AWS2, like on the first statement I'm saying allow, second statement I'm saying deny. What AWS will do now? I'm confusing, right? These are like two a confusable statement to AWS, right? So in IAM, in the policy, right? So in policy, if there is some statement which tells deny some action, like this terminate instance action, it will be denied. Even if you have mentioned in 100 statements allow also, or 1000 statements allow also, will not be allowed. So will be, so which means explicit deny always overcome the explicit allow, right? So when you have facing some issue with the statement, these policies, you have to go and see, like maybe create a new policy and make sure that you don't have any deny things, right? So like this, so if you have a deny statement which tells deny something, it will be denied even if it is in allowed also, right? So that it's a important interview question you might get. Okay, let's come down here. Now here one more thing is that we can, I'm doing it service level, right? I'm doing it service level. These are all service level. Now if you come down a bit, you can do even more granular resource level also. I mean, this is mostly will not use it, but you can do that as well. You can see instance, internet gateway, key pair, image. You can do at the instance level, I mean resource level also. You want all the instances, you need to have all the access, all the internet gateways, all the key pairs, or you want specific. If you want to give him, let's say, instance access to only one instance, then what you can do, just click and add ARN. ARN means we have already seen in the SNS, Amazon resource name. How we can do that is very simple. This is also click on add ARN. You need to specify in which region it is there, right? So US East one, it's, let's say, if that region is, and which account, what's your account ID, you need to, you'll get from your account here. If you go to my account, you can get that account ID, right? So let's say I'll say some account ID here. I've give some account ID. Then what is the instance ID? Instance will have an ID, right? So that, let's say I'll give some ID. Let's say this is an ID. Click on add simple. Now what I said, I'll give only this instance access. Means he can maybe stop, restart only this instance. I mean, you can go with the resource level as well, right? So like this, you can go and in detail specifics also you can go and do it. So I mean, it's based on like your requirement, which one is kind of you want all resources, you can select all resources. If you want specific, you can go and select specific resources. Let's say S3 bucket 1, S3 bucket 1, load balancer, one auto scaling group, one or two instances, one or two databases. So like that you can go and select. So it's more granular, you can do that. So this is how you can go and create the things. Let's go with that. Click on review policy. Now what I'll do, come down a bit, and here, oh sorry, review policy, sorry, I think I made a mistake here. We need to give the policy a name here. What is that? Sorry, it says choose a resource. I didn't, oh, I said specific, right? It's saying I said specific, so I have not chosen anything, so that's why it's giving an error. So I'll go to all resources, click on review policy. Now it came here. Now you need to give the policy name. So by seeing this policy name, you can understand EC2 all, allow, deny, terminate, something like that. You give some name. By seeing that, you should understand, right? Now click on create policy. So that will be policy will be created and it will be listed in the policies list. Simple. If you go and search that EC2 hyphen allow, it will be listed. Oh, sorry. Now you can see EC2 all. Now if you want to give this policy to this Gaurav itself, let's go there and give it. Let's say we have given read only, right? So let's go and remove this. I don't want read only. Let's remove this one. To remove it, simple. You just need to click on that cross mark and detach. Now add permissions. And now what we'll do, attach existing policies directly. Click on here and search for that EC2 all. By seeing the name, select it. And next review, add permission, and we have added. Let's go and refresh and see. Now let's launch an instance. Gaurav is launching an instance. Let's see, he wants to launch some test instance from himself to get some practice. Gaurav server. Proceed without a keeper. Anyway, we'll not log into it. Let's click on view instances. Now he just created this instance, right? He is the one only created. He is one only. Now with the policy which we have given, he can able to create the instance and he can able to stop this instance also. He can shut down, he can restart, he can change the instance type, he can change the storage, he can do all those things because we have given all the actions. But we have denied one action. What is that? Terminate. If you go and try to terminate this instance, which he just created, right? Let's go and see that. He only created. Oh, sorry, 1 second. It's a mistake in the policy, seems to be. Yeah, might be some mistake. What's happening? Let's wait. Let's go and create one more time. Maybe I made some mistake while creating the policy. Seems to be create a policy one more time. EC2. All EC2 actions. Add additional permission. Choose the service. EC2. Okay, I want to deny, switch to deny. Go to write. Terminate instance here. Click on review the policy. I didn't specify the resource. One second. Oh, here I need to select the resource. I'll go with all resources. Maybe here I didn't do that. That's why maybe it didn't give us an error. Review policy. Let's say give EC2 deny instance. Let's go and create a policy. Now he's able to delete this. Yep, he's able to delete this. Let's go and check. Users, Gaurav, delete this policy. Now it doesn't have any permissions. Add permissions. Oh, this one. EC2 deny. Add permission. Okay. Let's go and see now. Launch instance. Oh, it's not able to create even. That's right. Oh, there is some mistake here again. Policy. Oh my god. I made again the mistake. I didn't add the continuously making the mistakes. So again, EC2. Okay. So all EC2 actions. All resources. So I said all actions, all resources. Review policy. So this is how you can edit actually. Now you can see you can save changes. Now you can see you go to that policy. Let's say I'll show you again. So if you want to change the policy, you can go and modify it. Let's go to the policy EC2-deny, search with that name and go into that policy, and you'll be having an option called edit policy here. Just click on that and it will show you. Now previously we have this only deny action, so that's why like we are all getting the errors. Now you can see it has that all actions allowed and deny one action, right? Now if we refresh, so you need to be very careful creating these policies and all. You see how I'm trying to quickly create the things, so that's why it's making the mistakes. Let's go and quickly create the instance. will launch instance. View instance. Okay. So we give it some test server. Let's wait till this be created. Oh, sorry. It's creating. I can see it's creating here. Right. So let's wait. We'll come back. Now here, let's cancel this. Right. So based on this, the same way you can create like n number of users. There is no limit on like how many users you can create, and you can give like each user. You can give like multiple policies also. So now he has this policy of easy to deny instance. You can add more permissions also. Let's say if you want this Gaurav user needs S3 access, so you can go there and search for S3. If he needs just the read-only permissions of S3 or full access, you can go and select it. You can add permissions. You can give the permissions at the service level as well, and based on that you want like which action you can go with the specific actions as we just did with the terminate instance, right? Or we can give with the resource level, account level, uh, the region level, and you can give the service level as well. So like this you can go and do it. So let's wait. It's still creating. Let's go and try to delete this instance now. Now you see what happened. Error terminating the instance. He only created this instance, right? Gaurav created this instance, test server. He only created, but he is not able to delete because the permission says that you should not delete. That's why he's not able to delete. He can stop the instance, but because we have not disabled that one, right? So he can be able to stop the instance. He can shut down the instance. Now you can see it's stopping. He can be able to shut down. So like this, you can go with the specific actions as well. So in each service, you can go with that. So based on your requirement, you can create it. So it's a very simple process of creating the things, right? You go to that policies. If that default policies will not sufficient for you, go and create it. But remember that once you create the policy, I did 2 times a mistake, right? So once you create the policy, once you give the permission to some user, right? Check it, test the policy. Is it really working the way as he requested and as you think? So go and do that. So verify that. Otherwise, he will come back again saying that this is not working, that is not working. I said I need this access, but you have not given that. You have given a different service access. Like that, he might raise a request. I mean, raise more concerns about that. So prior to that, test it. So that's one thing. And now we'll be having an option called groups. It's very simple. You know what is groups is, right? So let's say if you are some 10 developers are there, or maybe same like Gaurav, there are like 10 people joined in your organization, all are AWS administrators, let's say, and all are at the same level. And you want to give the same level of EC2 access as you did with Gaurav. You want to give the same level of access as you did with the Gaurav. So what you do normally, you create 10 other people and then you give the same policy, easy to deny, easy to deny, easy to deny. While creating the user, you can do that. Instead, what you can do, instead of like giving the privileges at each individual user level, you can do the things with the group. So what you can do is simple. You create a group and you assign the policies, means give the permissions at the group level. So let's say I want to create a group. Let's say these are freshers EC2 admins. Give a group. Next step, and here you can attach a policy. So which one I want to go with, this EC2 deny instance policy. Click on next step, create a group. Group will be created. Now what I'll do, I'll go and add the users here. Go and add users to group. Let's say we have only Gaurav. Let's add the Gaurav group. Add users. So now whatever the permissions this group has, the users whoever are there, right? Now if I go to the user Gaurav, let's say, I'll remove the permission. He has this EC2, right? Let's remove this permission. But he has S3 access now. This is an individual policy. Now if you see, we just try to see like what he has. It's a Gaurav. This is Gaurav. Now what policies he has? He has an individual policy which is S3. Admin level access he has. And he is in a group called this freshers EC2 admins. So from this, what he will do, he will inherit the permissions of that EC2 deny policy. Now if you see, he will be having like two policies now, individual one policy, and is inheriting the one more policy from the group. Now if you go and see, you'll still have the same permissions because he's inheriting from the group. Now you can see he stopped, but he can start the instance, but again he cannot terminate. Same story, error. He didn't has the policy, right? The user didn't has, I mean this guy didn't had the policy of EC2 deny something, but from where he's getting that policy is inheriting from the group. So user can be in any group, whatever the group, right? So from that group he will be inherit the permissions. Okay, so by this way, what is the advantage of simple of this group is that, so instead of you giving the privileges, permissions means the policies at an individual level, you do to group level. That's it. That's only the advantage. We don't have much. And then we have identity providers. So this is where identity providers means it's like more or less into advanced kind of a concept. Let's say in the organizations you'll be having like you can integrate with your Active Directory, LDAP, or identity application, IPS servers. You can integrate with the AWS, which means instead of you creating username and password, what you can do is, so whatever the username and password you're using to log into your desktop, your workstation, your laptop in the organization, you can use the same username password to log into AWS as well. Means it's like a single username, single password across different services and all those things. So in that case, you can configure these providers, identity providers. This is not covered in our topic. It's more or less we need a lot of setup and a lot of things to be done, but this is what it is. Okay, and we have account settings. Let's go that this account setting means nothing else. I mean, there's some password, some settings will be there, like you see password is there. Right now, while creating the password, so you need to set something like password should have uppercase letter, should have lowercase letter, something like that. You can specify the things, or you can say that enable password expiration after some 90 days, 180 days, so that all your IAM users reset their password and prevent password reuse. So that if you specify, let's say 2 means he cannot, if I say 2 means he cannot use the same password while resetting. He cannot use the same password as the last 2 times. Let's say simple thing I made change here is that here I specified 90 days and the value 2 here, which means every 90 days you need to change a password. Okay, and first when he joined, he specified the password as password at the rate 123, let's say. After 90 days he changed password at the rate 321. Okay, now when after 90 days he need to change. So if he wants to change to, let's say, password at the rate 123, this will not allow, because this the password is here, the second last password, right? So he will not be able to do it. Maybe he need to do 4 5 6, something like that. So like this you can create some settings. Okay, these are all the things basically, and we'll be having credential report. It's very simple. So you can get a report like who are the users are available, when they last logged in, when they reset the password, all those things, normal information. Excel file will be downloaded. Just click on download report.
Excel file will be downloaded and nothing else. It's just an option. Now I can see the file has been downloaded. Let's click on open. So you can see like till date, how many users are there, when they last logged in. All normal information will be shown here. Now we can see. Okay, the username, root account and Gaurav. Two users are there. Okay, and when these users are created, at what time, and do they have password enabled or not? Yes, right. And then password last used, when they last used, right? Password last changed, when they last changed. All these things will be listed. So a lot of things like there are a lot more information will be there, like access keys and all those things. We'll see these things, access keys and all. I will give you that information later. We'll to cover a lot of things. Let's go to this one, encryption keys. So this encryption keys means we have seen in S3 EBS we can encrypt the EBS volumes, we can encrypt the databases, we can encrypt the S3 objects and all those things, right? So you can go with the normal default encryption keys, or you can create your own keys here. This KMS is basically that. By default, a key will be created for you when you sign up to the AWS. In each region, these keys will be based on regions, right? Now, if you want to create a new key, just click on create a key and give some name, nothing else. Name and display, and click on next step, click and create. So you need to specify in which region you are creating. And what will happen, you can use that key to encrypt it. And once you create it, it will not be downloadable. It's not like a key pair where you can download that key and all those things. That key will be there in your account itself. It will not be publicly visible. You cannot share, you cannot download, right? So it will work in your AWS platform, in your AWS account, to encrypt and decrypt. So instead of using the default ones and all, you can create your own. That's it. So that's what basically this KMS is all about. So, but remember that when you're creating a key, that key will be based on region. Remember this one. You have to be very careful in this one. You have to be very careful. Now let's go to the dashboard. So here we have the one more thing to discuss, called, there is an option called security status here. Okay, in that there are like a couple of options are mentioned, and some of them we already covered. So what is the security status is means? So there are like 5 checks are available here. 5 checks are available. So what are these checks means? AWS will check your account, and what they want is basically, what is the security status is that. So they will evaluate your security with these 5 steps, and AWS suggests you should implement these 5 steps or 5 things in your account so that your account will be secured, because all your data, applications, servers will be there in account. If somebody get to the access, if somebody get the access means like it's all there, right? They can delete the instances, they can create an image from the instance, and while creating it, they will use some key pair, and then they will use that key pair to log into your instance. Then they will see the data, they can copy the data, they can do anything they want if they get somebody gets the access. So that's why AWS makes sure that you follow this security status. Few of things we already got, like create individual IAM users, which means AWS suggests to don't give anybody, even you also don't use the root account. Always, if you need, let's say you are the person who needs all the access, simple create an IAM user, give the policy as administrator, but don't use root account. That's one thing, first thing. And then use groups to assign permissions, means don't give the permissions at each individual user level. Create at group level so that your work will, your uh, work will be done in smooth ways, hassle free, no issues. It's like that. And then apply an IAM password policy. So you have to set a password policy saying that after these many days should be expired and they should reset the password, or they should not use the same password while they are resetting, something like that. Settings should have this minimum letters, maximum caps letters, small letters, alphanumeric characters, something like that you need to, right? So these three we already seen. Now there are two more things are there, like root access keys and as well as activate MFA. So okay, now we'll see this, but what I'll do, It's almost like an hour. So let's take a break first. Let's take a break for 10 minutes. And once we come back, we'll see these two things and then we'll go to the other service. Okay. Chalo guys, take a break for 10 minutes and we'll come back. Thank you.
जा नीचे उतर जा जा जा
Hi guys, welcome back. Let's get started. So let's try to see the first this MFA will see out. Okay. So if you normally try logging into kind of applications like Paytm, so if you like to try to log in, what will happen once you enter the username and password? It will first check the username password is right or wrong. If it is right, then what it will do is it will do the one more authentication using the OTP. It will send a 6-digit OTP to your mobile, and then what you need to do, you need to enter that same OTP number to authenticate. Like you need to authenticate twice, right? So the same way, like a lot of even you can enable that dual authentication, or you can say second factor authentication, or in terminology what we call it as multi-factor authentication, we call that as, right? So you can enable for even your Gmail account, you can enable for your Facebook account, so that once you enter your username and password and click on login, it will ask you for one more code, which basically send you as a text to OTP that you need to enter. So what is the benefit of the multi-factor authentication is that, so even if somebody has the username password, if somebody get your username passwords, still they will not be able to access, because once they click on login after entering the username and password, it will send you a code to your mobile, and obviously you'll be having the mobile, he cannot be able to know what is that code, and you have to enter that exact code, otherwise it will not log in. So it is not like if you enter the username password is right, so half is right, so it will not go, it is not allow you to log in, so you have to enter two times. So that's we call it as multi-factor authentication, and you can enable the multi-factor authentication in AWS also. You can enable multi-factor authentication in AWS as well, and that too for all the users. You can enable it, like you can enable for root account, you can enable for your IAM users, right? And but AWS suggests at least you enable the multi-factor authentication for root account, right? But you can enable for any account. Okay. Now we'll see like how we can enable that multi-factor authentication. So the same process, nothing will change, right? So if I enable for root account, so that you can understand. Here you can say that activate MFA and root account. This is what AWS is suggesting, at least you do that for root account. Now we'll see how we can do that. Just click on manage MFA. Okay, once you click on here, just click on manage MFA, and here you can see continue security credentials. Here you have this multi-factor authentication. So if you want to directly come here, just under your name, click on your security credentials. If you click on it directly, you'll come to this page, or else from the, if you use the root account from the security status, you can come. So here you'll be having, like, you can change your password, right? These things we'll see, like you can specify, create some key pairs and all those things, but it's a different key pair, it's not easy to key pair. Okay. And this this multi-factor authentication, click on that, and here you can enable the activate the MFA. How we can do that? Click on activate MFA, and here you can enable the multi-factor authentication three ways. You can see that the three ways are listed there: virtual, UTF, and other hardware MFA devices are listed there. Now let's see what are those things. To get that, just click on, you see, for more information about supported MFA devices, see this link. I'll just open the link so that you can understand how this MFA, what are those things and all. Let's come down a bit so that it will give you the list. Now you can see universal two-factor security key. This is one more device. If you want to see how it will be look like, just click on this purchase link, and there is hardware fab key, display card key, SMS, and hardware key, fab key. So a lot of things there. Just click on purchase so that you can see it on Amazon link, Amazon page, amazon.com link, so that you can see how it will be look like this. This UTF key. Okay, and there's one more, like this is mostly used, widely used hardware key fab device. This one more, like this is like a credit card or debit card kind of a card here. So here it will display some code. There's one more thing also will be there like this. This also will display some 6-digit code, and here you can see on this small screen. So what are these devices can do is they are basically designed to create the or generate the 6-digit code every 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds it will generate. So what we need to do is, right, so we can integrate these devices, but prior we need to buy this obviously, and then we can integrate. And once we integrate, what will happen is that this device will interact with the AWS, and whenever you're logging in whenever you're logging in, what will happen is that at that point of time, whatever the code is displaying, as I told that every 30 uh, like every 30 seconds it will change, right? So at that point of time, whatever the code is displaying, you just need to enter it. So that is the thing you need to do it. Okay, so let's see. So but these are all some kind of cost effective things. So we need to buy some $23, $16. This is how much. It's not listed because it's not available. Like it's around $16 kind of. You see here, right? So there's some cost effective there. You can see the cost here, but we'll not go with this. But you can go with it. Organizations will go with this actually, right? And there is one more thing called, you can go with the SMS as well. So it will send you OTP, same like how we get the OTPs, right? It's the same story. And the free one which we are going to use, this one, virtual MFA device. So what is this virtual MFA device is basically means, so it's a free one. Okay, that's why we are going with it. Now what it will do is you can actually use your smartphone or a tablet. If you have a tab or a smartphone, right? So you can convert your smartphone or tab into this virtual MFA device. How can you do that? Is simple. You just need to install any of these applications. If it is Android, you can go with any of these applications. If it is iPhone, same. If it is Windows phone, like this. So these are all basically the application. You just need to install it, and then once you install that application, you can use your smartphone as the virtual MFA device. Now what I'll do, I will do it in my phone. I'll install in my phone. Let's open first. So I'll okay, this is my phone display, right? Okay, I'll open the here I'll open the display. I'll open the Google Play Store. You just need to go to your Play Store and then search for that particular the this is what Google Authenticator Auth2. So mine is Android, so I'll just search with that Google Authenticator. So we need to install simple Google Authenticator. Oh, should be AU, right? I'll just open that, this application. So click on install. It will take some time to install, right? It's downloading and it will install. Once it is installed, we'll come back. What we need to do based on like your device, it's virtual or UTF or any device, select that. Let's say in our case, it's our is basically which one ours is virtual. Let's click on continue, right? And now you can see that in my phone it's already done. It's installed. Let's click on open so that the application is installed. This is the application. Let's come back here, virtual MFA device, click on continue. Okay, now what we need to do is, so using the application like this one, what we can do is we have to click on show QR code, and some QR code will be displayed. We need to use this application, right? This Google Authenticator application to scan this QR code. Once we scanned it, it will display some codes. Okay, and then we need to provide that codes and then click on assign. What will happen? Our phone application will be assigned with the thing. Let's click on show QR code. So this is a code. So what I'll do, I'll just click on begin and I'll skip the introduction. Now what we need to do is we have that option scan barcode, right? Just click on scan barcode. So click on allow. So I'm just scanning the, now you can see it's scanned. You see it's displaying some code 615051, right? 615051. Okay, and then after 30 seconds again it will display one code, and you can see the code 811104. I just need to enter and then click on assign MFA. Once we click on it, now we can see you have successfully assigned the virtual MFA. Now my phone has this authenticator application installed, and now it's assigned, is associated with my account. Now if I go and let's say logged out, let's say I'll go and log out now, and I'll try to log in again. So this application every 30 seconds it will change. Okay, so at that point of time you just need to open that application and you need to see like which code are displaying at that point of time. You need to select. Let's go and click on sign in. Now here we need to, this console look like same. We need to enter the email ID and the password. That will not change. So here you can see we need to enter that MFA code. If I enter some code, wrong code, it will not take. You see, authentication failed. So you have to enter the code which is displaying at this point of time, 241522. 241522. Click on sign in. Oh, sorry, it's an error came, so maybe we have to do it again. 054682. 054682. Click on submit. What happened? Maybe my password is wrong. Oh, sorry, I need to enter the password. I'm entering the, so it's saying asking for the password. Yeah, now it is MFA. Here we need to enter the MFA. So what is the MFA code? Let's go there. Just a new one came, 7196963, right? 719963. These are very simple things, but very effective in securing your account. Now you can see. So if you don't have that application open, you cannot log in. So you need the data connection for that because it needs internet data connection to work. So I mean, these days like everybody has the internet, right? So we don't need to worry. And if you want like to delete that, if you want to remove that MFA, you can go and remove, and you can add a new one. So you can do all sort of things. So now let's come back to here. And if you want to remove, simple, go to the multi-factor authentication, select that one, click on manage, and you can remove if you don't want. Very simple. Done. We have completed it. This is how we can basically do the multi-factor authentication with the virtual MFA application. Like this we can do it. So what AWS suggests, as I told, at least you should have for root account. Forget about the other IAM users account and all, but at least you should have for it. Okay, and then we have one more thing called delete this root access keys. First, try to understand root access keys. This will be also there in security credentials. Click on security credentials page. It will be there. Let's go and understand. So here it is, access keys under MFA. Okay, so while creating a user, we have seen one thing. There are two options, right? How a user can be able to access the AWS. We have seen there are two types, right? Console access, and the other is kind of API, SDKs, tools, and all those things. Now, if anybody from, I mean, your account, your organization want to access using maybe SDK, CLI, and all those things. So we, I mean, this username and password, whatever we are creating, right? So we have created for Gaurav. We are using email ID and the password to log in. So this console, these are just for only for console. That username, password, whatever we are using, either for IAM user or for the root account. So that will not be usable, or that will not be supported for these SDKs or development tools or CLI and all those things. So for if you want to authenticate using any those tools, those API and all those things, there is a separate authentication mechanism is developed and designed by AWS, and that is called this access keys. Okay, so this access keys means it will have some username and password, a different username and password. We cannot use that console username password. It will not take, right? So when you create, actually, it will have some kind of a zigzag kind of a username and the password. We cannot actually remember it. I will show you like how it will look like, right? And using this, we can able to use it. So now, if you want to create, by default, will not have any keys. So if you want to create, and one more thing is that once you come here, you can create these keys for any user, either at a root account or IAM user account. Any user can have maximum of 2 keys. You can see that 2 access keys. That might be active, inactive, or whatever the state. We'll see the states and all, right? So can have only maximum 2. You cannot have more than 2, right? So let's see how it will be look like. Let's click on create a new access key so that you can understand how it look like. Just click on create new access key, and it has been created successfully. And this is very similar to key pair, actually. Means when we click on create a key pair, it will be downloaded, right? While creating the key pair only, it will be downloaded, and that is the first and last time it will download. If you want again, it will not be downloaded. Here also it's the same story. The keys have been created successfully, and if you want to see, let's click on show access key. It will be shown here. So you can download the key file also if you want to. Click on download, it will be downloaded. Now you see this is kind of a username and this is kind of a password. You see that? I'll just copy this. Now click on close. I'll store it in somewhere. So now if you see here, after that, if you want to be see that, you can only able to see the access key ID, which means the kind of username you can see, but you cannot see the password. That secret access key you cannot see. So means if you want to authenticate, you need both, right? Access key ID and as well as secret access key. So here there is no way you can get that. The only thing is that either you can delete and recreate new one. That's the only thing. But a user can have, any user, IAM user or root account can have only 2, maximum 2. You can create one more set of keys as well, right? Now where we can use it. So I'll show you one tool. The tool is called S3 browser. So this S3 browser, it's a free tool. It's kind of an SFTP or what is that? WinSCP or FileZilla kind of a tool, which can be used to upload, download files to S3. So we have seen in the previous session S3 and all those things, right? So when we create a bucket, we can upload data, download, and all those things. But if you want to do that, we need to log in, right? Log into the console first. But here, you can use this tool, so that using this tool, you can downloads and uploads without accessing or authenticating using the console. So if you want to do that, first you need to download. Click on download so that it will be downloaded. And then it's a .exe, right? You can go and install it. I don't need to tell you how to do that, right? So I'll just check, is that S3 browser installed in my machine or not? I think it's not installed. Okay, let's go and install it. click on just click on the .exe. It's a very simple, straightforward. Click next, finish. Okay, and this tool will actually ask for the authentication, right? So that we'll see how it will access. So at that point of time, we need to provide these access keys and secret access key. Start now. And when we first open, it will ask for, you see, AWS S3 storage, access key ID, and secret access key. So it's not asking for username and password. Remember this, right? So let's go and copy my access key ID and secret access key. These access key ID and copy the secret access key. So you see that it's like it's a zigzag kind of thing, right? It's not showing properly. It's not in a sequence or kind of thing. Okay, let's click on add a new account. No, we added. We can maximize this if you want. Now you can see it will list here. Now we added. But here it is not showing any buckets. Let's go to my account here. Let's go to S3 and see do we have any buckets or not. Seems like we don't have buckets. Let's create one. Testing access keys. Click on create. I've created a bucket here. Now if you go and refresh, the bucket will display here. You see that? Testing access keys. And if you go there, it will not be anything will be there. Right? And if you want to upload and download, you can do it. Here you can see upload, new folder you can create. Let's say if you want to upload some files or folders, you can click on upload some file. Let's say this file, simple file I want to upload. And it will be uploaded simple. See that it's I think it has some size in that. So that's why it's uploading. It's taking some time. It will be uploaded. You can upload folders, files, and you can create a new folder. You can download, you can delete, you can all these things you can do it. So it's from a single kind of a, I think it's a very big file seems to be. You see it's uploading in the parts. Oh my God, it's kind of a very big file seems to be. Let's cancel this. Let's try upload maybe a simple file. Yeah, this file will be fine. It's a simple file. Now you can see it is uploaded. If you want to download, you can download. If you want to delete, you can delete. Simple. That's it. And from here, you can create the buckets also. You can create a new bucket. You can delete the bucket if you want. Simple. You can do all sort of things here. Right. So this is what basically where can be. I mean, we can use these access keys and all. Okay. And as I told, we can have up to multiple. Any user you can have only 2 keys per user. Okay. Remember that. And then let's go to another service, which is CloudFront. Yep. Here under networking and content delivery, we'll be having a CloudFront here. Let's open that. Let's try to understand like what is this CloudFront and all. So in IAM, we have to discuss about CLI. We'll see tomorrow that. Okay. And let's try to understand what is this CloudFront and all. Okay. Now to understand CloudFront, first we need to understand one thing called content delivery network. Okay. We need to understand a concept called content delivery network. In short form, this is called as a CDN, content delivery network. Okay. In short form, we call it as CDN. Nothing. CDN means content delivery network. Let's try to understand what is this content delivery network means. Okay. So this content delivery network is actually very similar to the latency routing policy. What is latency routing policy? If you just try to recollect. So let's say when you have servers at multiple locations, let's say these are all, think like these are all servers across multiple locations. When a user is browsing the website, what will happen? So he will get the content from the server which is lowest latency to that particular user. Means, let's say if this user is here, sorry, if a user is here, oh, there's a problem. Okay, if the user is here and is trying to access some website, www.facebook.com something, if the Facebook is deployed in across all the servers, so if latency routing policy implemented, what will happen? Whichever is the server nearest to him, I mean, with which server he's like kind of his traffic will be with lowest latency, obviously this server, right? So he will get the content from this server, right? So that's what basically the concept of the latency routing policy, the same policy, but the same thing actually, content delivery network means. But here the difference is that if you want to create the latency routing policy across the globe, how many servers we need to create? In this sample page, you see I have created like around almost like 9 servers. I've created 9 or 10, I think I've created 10 servers just for sample application. So you have to create 10 servers and you need to host your application in 10 servers, and then you need to pay for 10 servers, you need to manage 10 servers, and if you want to change anything in your application, you want to change it in your all your 10 servers, like you have to manage 10 servers, cost effective, you need to pay for 10 servers. So all these things you need to do for 10, 10, 10. It's like that, right? So now instead, but these 10 servers will be sufficient. Let's say I placed one server in, let's say Africa here. Will this one server is sufficient for all the Africa continent? I've placed one server in India, let's say. Will this be single server is sufficient for all the users who access from India? 1.3 billion people, will it be sufficient? No, right? It will not be sufficient. So obviously, you need to create more than 10 servers, maybe 100 servers, 500 servers. More servers, more cost, more management. If you want to change something, you have to do it in multiple servers. It's kind of, again, work also will be like you have to do multiple things, multiple times, multiple ways. It's like that. So instead, so why we are like trying to go up to that level of 500 servers or 100 servers? The only reason of is that we want, like, whenever a user browses our application or website, we want to deliver the content. Maybe a site like video streaming site, kind of YouTube, Netflix, Hotstar, or maybe a site like where Facebook or Twitter, which delivers some videos, uh, images, chat, text messages, all these things, kind of, right? So it might be anything, or maybe kind of an application like a Gmail, which just only deliver the text, some text with small images and all, right? So like that, I mean, if you need your users, I mean, if you want your users should get the application frequently faster, right? In that case, instead of going to this latency routing policy or creating multiple servers, we can go for this content delivery servers, content delivery network. So what is this content delivery network means? These content delivery network providers, they will be having the servers across the globe. They'll be having the servers across the globe. Now let's say they have, I just take a list of 10 servers, but they'll be having more than 1,000 servers or 5,000 servers in real time. Let's assume that these are the 10 servers of the content delivery network, guys. Now what we need to do, we'll create some server, in some location, let's say in AWS. And what we'll do, I have created here, let's say, okay. And then we install some application. We install some application, right? Now, if let's say you have created a server, you install application. If one user accessing from here, let's say this is a user is from, I mean, your application is in like Asia, like maybe in India or somewhere, right? And a user is accessing your application from, let's say, North America, which means like you'll directly access and your server will respond with some content. So how much time basically, if a simple request, if it want to come to here, it will take around what time? How much time? 250 milliseconds. Let's take an example. It might be more than that. A single request, 250 milliseconds. But if the content is like in more milliseconds, if it is a big video files or something like that, it will take more time to deliver. So this user will get the application, but it will take long time. So sometimes when we open some websites, it will always trying to reload or buffer kind of. It's because of this reason, maybe kind of. I mean, if your internet is fucking fine, that might be the reason. Like that, okay. So now this is how basically this is what hacks normally happen. But we should not go 250 milliseconds or 300 milliseconds is very big time in the internet. Very big time. For us, its second is very small, but in the internet, it's very big time. Because this simple request takes 250 milliseconds means if 1 MB file will take more than 1-2 seconds or maybe 5 seconds or 1 minute kind of thing, right? So this should not have, we should not face this. To get rid of that, what we can do is we will, once we install the application in some server, what we'll do, we'll integrate with this content delivery network guys. So we'll integrate our application actually. So we'll integrate our application with this content delivery network guys, CDN guys. So when we integrate our application with this content delivery network guys, what will happen is that, so they will take our application and what they will do, they will store it in the servers, in their servers. Okay, how it will happen is, let's take an example. Now you have the application installed and now we have integrated with CDN. Let's take an example. Assume that we have integrated. Now, previously, what happened if this guy want to access the application, how much time it took? The request has to directly come to our server where the application is installed or deployed, right? But let's say after post integration with the content delivery network, what will happen is that when somebody, a user browse your application, the request will not come to directly your server where your application is deployed. The request will go to the server which is nearer to this guy, and the server is not your server actually, the content delivery network server. Okay, but the content delivery network server doesn't have any data of your application because your application is here. Now what content delivery network server will do is they'll take the request and forward it to the application, and then application will be downloaded here or come here, and then that same application will be forwarded to the user. Now it came here, the CloudFront server took that request, take the application and forward it to here. But if you see with this also, it's the same story. Latency is like still around 250 milliseconds or 300 milliseconds because your traffic is either coming here or going directly. It's the same story, right? This will not make much difference. But when this will be useful is that, let's take an example. If one more guy, so there is one guy is here, a girl, is accessing the same application, is trying to access the same application. Now what it will do, from her location, what I mean, the request will go to the where, nearest server, and this time it will not, the CloudFront server will, I mean the content delivery server will not send the request to here, because for this guy, when he first requested, this CloudFront already got the application here. I mean, application means the data and all those things. I mean, this server already got it, right? Got from the server. Now what it will do, it will store this data for some time. We can mention that time. So the content will be stored here. Now, within that time, like how much it might be stored. Let's take an example. It will be stored for an hour. Let's take an example, 1 hour or 1 day might be. So by default, it's 1 day. So we can specify what is the time. I will show you where we can specify. Okay. And now what will happen? If this girl access the application, the request will come here. Now it will not go here. No, this will not happen. Okay. Now what will happen? As the data is already there, the application data and all those things is already there, that directly the application will be forwarded to the that girl. How much time? What is the latency? It's not even 20-30 milliseconds. Now the same way, if any other guy from here accessing the same application, request here, and the application will be here. Again, maybe 10 milliseconds. Like this is how basically the content delivery network works. So these servers all basically what if let's take an example, if one guy is from, let's say, India is accessing the application, request will come here, from here it will go, take the application, store it here, and it will be delivered to this guy. And if one more guy from, let's say, Delhi accessing, you will not access from the server, you will access from the this content delivery network server, you will get the application. Understand? Anybody have any questions on this? On this concept of content delivery network, I will show you like how we can integrate and all those things. I'll show you. Anybody have any questions on this? The first user will get the same latency. Okay, the first user, let's say this in our case, this guy will get the same latency. I mean, his request has to travel because there is no data in the nearest server. Once he's done, I mean, the whatever the users, the next time they are coming, they all get the full speed the application will be get. Okay, seems like no questions. Good. Okay, now one second. Simple, Manjusha. So for the first time, if a user access the application, if it is integrated with the cloud content delivery network, if it is, what happened? Just one second. It's kind of. Okay, let's go to the end of the thing. Oh my God. Okay, now if you see here, when you integrate your application with the content delivery network, right? So the users will access from the across the globe, right? So when they access it, let's say if they are accessing from here, the request will go to the nearest content delivery network server. If the data is there already, it will deliver to that guy. If it is not there, then the content delivery network server will take that request and forward it to the actual application server where the application is deployed, and it will take the data and store it here and then deliver it. That is for the first user. But the same in the same country, same continent, if the people are accessing the same website, they'll get from the this nearest content delivery network server instead of traveling to the actual application server where the application is deployed. That is how the content will be delivered more fastly to your users. Understand? Okay. Now let's try to see like how we can implement this content delivery network. But this content delivery network, what I told, right? So this content delivery network, what I just we discussed, right? So that content delivery network service provided by AWS is called CloudFront. CloudFront is just that CDN service which is provided by AWS, or content delivery network service which is provided by AWS. But as I told, these servers, we discussed these servers. But as I told, the content delivery network guys will maintain these servers. These are all their servers, right? Not our application server where our application is installed. Not this one. This is the yellow servers. But CloudFront means AWS, right? AWS is providing the CDN. So where actually AWS will, or AWS has these servers in which locations, right? So if you go back to the AWS global infrastructure one more time, okay, if you see here, we have one more concept. We have seen regions and we have seen availability zones, right? And there is one more concept called edge locations. So what is actually an edge location? Is basically where these servers are will be located. This will be across the globe. This will be across the globe will be there. So where are, if they want to see, if you want to see where are those actually the CloudFront servers location, right? So in North America, this is the list, edge locations: Ashburn, Atlanta, Boston, Chicago. We don't have any AWS region in Ashburn. We don't have anything in Atlanta availability zone or something like that, right? So Hayward, Houston, you see Los Angeles, Minneapolis, all these things are all in Canada. We have Toronto, like this. And if you come down a bit in South America, we have in Rio, Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil, in South America. And if you come to EMEA, like Europe, Middle East, Africa, then you can see we have in Amsterdam, Berlin, Cape Town, South Africa, and Copenhagen, Denmark, Dubai. We don't have anything in like Dubai. I mean, we don't have any AWS region in Dubai, but still we have an edge location. It's like that. And Dublin, Frankfurt, like this. These are all listed here. And if we come back to here, the Asia Pacific, where we are from, and if you see, we have in Bangalore, Chennai, and if you take just only India, we have in Bangalore, Chennai, and we have in Hyderabad, and we are in New Delhi. We have in 4 locations across India, which means, let's take an example. We have let's take one server in each location. It will not be one server, it will be multiple servers, but take an example. So we have one server in Bangalore, one server in Hyderabad, one server in Chennai, one server in New Delhi. So from wherever you are accessing, if you are accessing the application which is nearer to Hyderabad, then your content will be stored in Hyderabad server. And if anybody from near to Hyderabad, if he's accessing, he will get that content from that Hyderabad. If somebody is accessing from, let's say, Delhi, maybe northern part of India, Jammu, Haryana, Punjab, or like wherever he is, for the first time, the content will be stored in New Delhi server. Whenever somebody accessed in that around the states, or maybe in that Delhi or near states, so he will get the content from the Delhi server, which is already stored because of somebody already accessed, like that. Okay, so like this. So we have in India, like we have 4. It's like that, right? You can see we have in China, we have in Philippines, we have in Australia, we have in Japan, we have in Australia. We already see we have in Singapore, and we have in Tokyo, like everywhere. Like, so most of the where like a lot of people use the internet and all, right? Most of the locations it has, right? So this is edge location is basically nothing but the location which are having the cloud front servers. That's it, nothing else, right? Understand what is cloud front edge location means? Anybody have any questions? So we cannot have access to this edge network locations. We cannot create the servers in edge network locations last like you can go to region, we can create a servers in AZs, availability zones, but we don't have access to this edge network locations. We cannot do that. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll go to EC2 and we'll try to implement this CloudFront. But to implement the CloudFront, what we need one application, right? So what I'll do, I'll create one server and I will deploy one application. Okay. So quickly I'll create a Linux instance so that things will be create quickly. So let's say our application, actual base app server. Where is our actual server is located? Okay, I'll select the maybe Linux firewall. Preview launch. I'll select prod-key. I'll just check that. Do I have that key or not? Otherwise, I need to create one more time. Okay, I have that key. Good. Let's go ahead and launch the instance. Okay, I will install the same that HTML applications which we are actually doing it. Right. So I'll go to one of the HTML application, HTML5 application, and we'll do it. We'll use that same. That will be fine. We just need an application to showcase. Okay, that's it. Nothing much. So you can go with anything. It's up to you, whichever you want. Maybe I'll go with this one. Click on download. So it will be downloaded here, right? But we'll just copy this link and we'll install it in this server. Okay. First, let's log into this server. So Linux server. Open the mobile XTERM. Click on session. SSH. Remote host. Username will be EC2-user. Advanced SSH settings. We'll use that private key. It's prod-key, right? Click on OK. Login. We'll shift into root. So I'm just installing the web server and installing that HTML thing. So you can do it in Windows also. There's no thing, right? This will happen quickly, so that's why I'm just doing it in Linux, nothing else. If you want, you can do it in after the session. If you want to practice, you can do it in the Windows and do it for you. Okay, let's copy that link. This link, right? So let's copy and copy link address and wget. This is basically how we can download. Just give the link, it will download that zip file, and then we need to unzip. Oh, sorry, should be unzip, right? Okay, done. We have unzipped. Now, if we go and access using that link, we'll be able to see the application. Now, this is my application. I want to integrate with the CloudFront. Okay. Now, we'll see like how we can integrate with it. But what we'll do, we'll just take a break again. We'll just take a 10 minutes break. And then once we come back, we'll go and see like how we can basically integrate this application, this HTML application. It has some content, some images and all those things, right? So this is more than enough for us implementation. We'll just go and see how we can do that. Okay. Shall I guys take a break for 10 minutes? And once we come back, we'll see. Thank you. Have a break. Hi guys, welcome back. Now here we just deployed the application, right? This is the one. Now what we'll do is we'll integrate this with the CloudFront, right? To start with, the creation process. So we have to come down to this CloudFront service, and this is not a region-based service because, as I told that, when the CloudFront is actually what it's a CDN service, right? So they will be having the servers across the globe. So it's a global provided service, so not a region-based service. Okay, so that's why it doesn't need any region selection and all. So let's see how we can go and create the CloudFront by just clicking on this, create distribution, click on it. And now here, there are two types in the delivery method, or you can say that there are two types in CloudFront are available. You can say that. Okay, and this two type depends on the what data your application is actually contains. So what is your actually your application at the core level? If it is just normal programming language content, some graphic representation files, some cartoons kind of things, some animation files, uh, articles, images, and all those things, then we have to go with the web type. If it is your application is kind of a streaming or streaming related, streaming means like YouTube, Netflix, Hotstar, or which includes uh, videos like Facebook, right? So in those kind of situations, you have to select OTMP. Okay, so this is where the two types differ. So if you have a streaming content, go with this one, or else go with this. So anything that's basically depends on like what content you have. Okay, let's go with this one, web, because our application is not a video streaming kind of related. Okay, let's click on get started here. Now, till now, when you are creating a resource in AWS, we have seen like multiple pages, right? So when you click next, we'll go to the next page, like this, like an EC2 instance creation. But here, this is different. In a single page, you will see all the configuration actually. In a single page, you will see all the configuration. And then you can directly click on create that CloudFront. Okay. Now, first, instead of going through these sections, right? So we need to understand two terminologies first to understand these configurations. One is called origin, and then other is called distribution. Okay. So origin means simple, where your application is actually deployed. That we call it as the origin. Means where your application files are located. In our case, it's what? This EC2 instance. So this is our origin. Origin means source of your application content. Okay. And then distribution. So what is distribution means? Nothing but just the combination of these servers. Okay. So this combination of all these servers, the CloudFront distribution servers, we call it as distribution. Nothing else. But why they call it as a distribution means you have an option to select. If you want, let's say you're only looking out for maybe a region wise. Region means I'm not talking about AWS regions. I'm saying geographical regions. Means let's say you are kind of creating an application that is only for, let's say, USA or maybe Canada. That's it, not more than that. And that application is irrelevant to the other parts of the world. Sorry. Okay. Now, You created the application, but you want to use CloudFront servers only for, I mean, those are all in this location, like South America, North America, maybe Canada, but not Asia, Europe, Middle East, or Australia, not all these things. Then what you can do, you can select the geographical distribution of the servers. That we call it as a distribution. Let's just select this distribution which contains here, or select all servers, all distribution, or select distribution plus USA and it's a Europe, or select only USA, Europe, and Asia, not Australia, not Africa, not Antarctica, like this. Right, so that we can select. So basically, distribution is nothing but the total servers, basically the combination of the servers, the distribution servers, the CloudFront content delivery network servers. Okay, and this page of this section, creating the CloudFront distribution, contains all these options are actually categorized into three sections. The first section is basically the origin section, which means we need to give the details about where is your application, how the CloudFront distribution servers can access our application, what port, what protocol, and where the content is actually located. Is an EC2 server or is it a S3 bucket? Maybe if the content is there in S3 bucket or something like that, we need to give that information. And then the next is basically all about the application related, which means like what methods they have used while coding the application. It's all will be related to your application at the core level. What methods they have used to develop your application, code your application, which tools they have used, which mechanisms they have implemented. So all these things. So this second section is all about the developer related questions and all. Like if you are using any query string forwarding or not, are you using any cookies in your application or not, is you're using any smooth streaming mechanism or not, right? So all these things basically related to the developer. So we'll not touch this second category, actually second section. So when you are integrating in the organization, remember this, when you're doing, you always take the help the developer or the team which or who developed this application or the application which you are going to integrate. Because as we administrators or cloud administrators or AWS administrators or whatever we call it as, we cannot have any idea about the application. We don't know like which mechanisms and all those things they have, which methods they have used to develop, because we are not developers, right? So that's why this second category section, you have just taken help from developer. If you even try to see also, you'll not be able to understand. That's why. Okay, and then we'll come back to the third session. So this is where I told you, right, you can select by continent or countries like US, Canada, Europe you want only, or US, Canada, Europe, Asia and Africa you want, or you want like all the edge locations, all the like edge locations across the globe you can select. Right, the best thing is obviously best performance will be all locations. This is related to your distribution. Okay, let's start from first. So the first thing is that where is your origin located? You can specify an S3 bucket. The content is there in S3 bucket, or you can select elastic load balancer if your application is behind a load balancer, or if it is just a host name or something like that, you just need to give that, copy that and specify here. Okay, you just need to specify here, and then once we specify, so if your application is like hosted on something like this, like app slash something, not just directly on .com website, in that case you need to provide that path slash app or slash stage or something like that. But it's on like on directly domain, so we don't need to provide any path. This origin ID means just it's just an ID will be created by AWS, nothing It doesn't have any considerations at all. And you need to specify which protocols have been used in your origin. If you are using HTTPS, you need to specify which versions have been used. And your website application content only HTTP only, I mean the URLs, the link and all, are it only HTTPS or both? You have to specify, right? And then, sorry, here you need to specify the port for HTTP and HTTPS. If it is normal web server, you provide 80. If it is Tomcat kind of an application, you provide 80, something like that. Okay. And there is a response timeout and keep alive timeout. Response timeout means uh, CloudFront servers will try to get the content within this much seconds, 30 seconds. If it didn't receive, what will happen? It will close that connection and it will reinitiate. That's what this is. So if your content is big and it will take some time, then you can increase the time. And there is one more thing called keep alive timeout. Keep alive timeout means here TLS means these are all the SSL protocol versions. These protocols, I mean, which protocols have been used while deploying your application. Okay, now keep alive time means, let's say if you come down here and see, when a user requests, right? When a user requests, it will respond, right? It will respond with the content, but the connection will not close actually directly. After sending the content to the user, the connection will not close. Still, the connection will be there, but it will only be there for few seconds, very few seconds, because within that time, if you make any other request, if you try to maybe like try to see more links, more videos, kind of thing, then instead of initiating a new connection, it will follow through that, use that same connection. Instead, if your keep alive timeout is over, it will create a new one. Simple. So like that. So that's what keep alive timeout means, like how much time it need to wait before closing this connection after delivering the content. It's more or less into system admin things, kind of. Okay. For us, for our requirement, is basics is more than fine. And from here it will start the headers and all those things, like again, the in your application, like what headers they have used, what are the names and values of the headers, which will be given by your development team. Okay, they need to tell. So you can add multiple headers and their values by just clicking on here. Okay, so but again, as I told, you need to check with them, and these are all, I'll just go with the defaults because defaults will be fine with this HTML and all. Okay, I don't want to go through that because it's all development related or developer related things. Okay, now this we already seen price class, right? This WAF is basically, it's a web access firewall. So web access firewall means it's a service provided by AWS, which we have not covered. It's not there in our curriculum. So it's this firewall is very similar to kind of this security group. How the security group works, it will be there prior to the instance. So all the traffic pass through that security group. In the security group rules, it's allowed, traffic will go, otherwise it will be blocked. So it will basically filter the traffic, right? And which port it's trying to connect and all those things, outgoing and inbound. So the same way, if you want to secure your application, means what content it is going. Is there any malicious content is like uploading to your website or not? So if you want to protect at the application level, on that application at the content level, then you can use a firewall called WAF, which is provided by AWS. So if you are using any of this firewall, With your application, you have to select that firewall. If not, just click on not, because we are not using that. So that's why it's not displaying anything. Just click shown as none. Okay, right? Now, this domain names here. What are these domain names means? So let's come back to here. Now, as I told that, when a user browse the application, what I told, when we integrate with CDN, the request will go to the nearest server, right? The nearest server. If this guy is here, it will be nearest server. If this guy is near here, let's say if some guy here, it will go to here. This is the nearest server. But which name they will use to access the application? I mean, what is that website name they'll use? So Facebook will access using www.facebook.com. Gmail will use mail.google.com, something like that. The name, right? So that name we need to specify here, the domain name. Understand? So that's what basically means. Let's say uh, your website is kind of the name, let's say media dot, let's say gravellabs.com, something like that. This is the name people use to connect. The users will use to connect. Right? That name we need to provide. We can provide multiple also. Just enter and then you can provide multiple also. You can provide. It's up to you, like how you can do that. Okay, I'll go with only one name. It's fine for us. And if you're using any SSL certificate, you can specify here. If you're using any SSL, otherwise let's come down here. The versions of HTTP, just go with the defaults. Default root object, if it is like uh, index.html or index.php, index.jsp, index.rb, index.py, some index name. So what is the first file will be called when you open the application? That will be given by your developer, right? That you can specify. For us, you can just leave it off. You don't need to worry. Just leave it off. For our even this demo, you don't need to specify. And then you can enable the logs. Means all the requests are going to what? The requests will go to the different servers based on the locations, right? So if you want to store the logs of all the users, by default it will be off. If you want, you just click on logging on, and then you can specify the S3 bucket. So that what will happen in that S3 bucket, if we specify a folder, let's say in that folder, in some specific bucket, what will happen? It will store all the logs. You can go and see the logs will be stored. Okay. And come down a bit. If you just want to enable IPv6, go with it. And if you want to comment anything, you create a comment. And then we have distribution state. So once created this CloudFront, you want the content will be delivered using the CloudFront servers or not. Obviously, we want it. If you want to stop for some time, we can disable it. But we want to enable it. But right after creating it, you don't want to be, forwarding the content from CloudFront servers. You can disable it also. But let's click on enable, which we want. Let's click on create distribution. Simple. Now we are creating the distribution. This will take a good amount of time, around 15 minutes, I think. Will take some good amount of time. Now if you see here, the status. One second, guys, I'm getting a call. I'll just come back in a minute. Hi guys, I'm back. Now you can see the status here. It will take some time. Okay, so once it is done, it will be shown as deployed. So once it is deployed, then we can go and see how we can access and all those things we can see. So this is what basically the CloudFront is. So it will take some time. So till that time, what we'll do, we'll cover the there are like small services are there. Okay, it's very like 5 minute 10 minute kind of services. It's very simple services. So we'll go with one by one that. Okay, the service page, let's go with by one. So the first, I'll go with this cloud trail. I'll open it. So this cloud trail is actually, it's a audit service. Okay, audit means it will actually store the logs, whatever is actually happening in your account. Means whoever is logging in and whoever is creating the instances, deleting the instances, or creating the bucket, uploading the data, so whatever it is, right? So whatever they do it on this AWS platform, everything will be logged. By default, everything will be logged. You don't need to do anything. By default, it will be available, but by default, it will be available only for the last 90 days. Means last 30 days. Sorry, last 3 months. Okay. So if you want to store the logs for more than 90 days, let's say if you want to go and maybe refer 6 months logs ago, or maybe 1 year logs ago, there might be somebody deleted some instance, some data, and at that point of time you didn't recognize, but after maybe after 3 months or 6 months you recognized. By default, it will only store for 90 days. But if you want more than that, then I'll show you like where we can do it. Okay. So by default, let's try to understand how it will be look like so that you can understand how this actually stores. So you can see that recent events here. You can see run instance, delete bucket, create access key. You see that event name. So if you want to view all the last 90 days, click on view all events. Now it will be listed here. Okay, if you come down a bit, you can see the event history of last 90 days. Okay, here, if you want, you can download this also events as CSV or JSON format. You can download it. Okay, now if you can see, if you try to see uh, each event, what is actually happening, will have an event time and who did that, what is the username, what is the event, what he did, and in which resource, EC2 VPC, RS3 bucket, IAM access key, IAS MFA device, IAM, which we have seen, right? And then the resource name, for which resource it has been. You see, testing access keys bucket name we have created. And we deleted S3 bucket, the name testing access keys. You see that? It's listed here. Everything will be listed here. And if you want to see who deleted this bucket, S3 bucket name testing access, simple, the username. Root. Root means the guy who has access with root, he did it. At what time he did it. So if you want to see more details, then click on this greater than symbol here. It's not greater than kind of a play symbol. Let's click on it. It'll give you more, like in which region it is happened, event source and all, we know that, right? And the most important thing here is that this source IP address, from which location he deleted that bucket, right? So by this we can actually, if somebody did some mistake, if nobody is saying that I did it, then you can obviously find that guy who did it. So that is also one more thing here is that that's why AWS suggests you should create the individual users. You should not use root, Because if let's say both you and me having the root access where we are using the same username and password to log in, email ID and the password. If I did it, it will show as root, which means it might be done by you or me, right? It's like that. So that's why you obviously have each user. Now you can see Gaurav user information is there here. You see that? All the information will be locked here. And you can filter also. You want to see event name, resource time, event ID, event source, you want read only. So specific things also you can do it. You can download as well, already told you. But this is only for 90 days, right? If you want to store more than 90 days, if you want to see the logs which are 100 days ago, 150 days ago, then what you need to do, you need to come to trial. Trial is basically it is just just a kind of a thing, an option where what we can do is we just need to create a trial, and then the thing is that we have to select an S3 bucket here. Come down a bit here. Storage location. Either you create an S3 bucket or select an existing bucket. We don't have any buckets, so that's right. Then click on create, so that what will happen, the bucket will be created. In that bucket, the logs will be stored, and it will be stored as long as you are using this trail. If you delete this trail, like this trail will stop and it will not store in that bucket. But remember that when you are storing in S3, the S3 pricing will come into picture, right? So based on like how much you have stored, based on that you'll be charged. That we already discussed the pricing information and all. And there is one more thing here is that there are some options here while creating small options. Apply trial to all regions. You can specify that you want to log all the things which are happening in all the regions. Click on yes. If you don't want, just click on no. So if you click on no, what will happen, in which region only it will log is that it will only log the information for the region where you are creating. In which region I am creating, let's say Mumbai. So it will log only for Mumbai. If you say yes, it will log for all. Okay. And you can specify you want all or only just read only or write only. You don't want anything. You can specify. Read only means just go through, log in, log out, see the information like that. Okay. Write only means yes, creating, deleting, modifying like that. You can specify which one to be logged. Okay. That you can, I mean, you don't want read only information. You just want write only, like who did some modification. Forget about who logged in and all those things. Read information, we are not worried. If something happened, then that is what we need, right? You can specify that. So by default, go with all. This could be fine. Then, as I told, create that bucket and click on give some name. Trial name should be there. So you give whatever the name you want, okay? And then click on create. Simple. When you click on create, it will be created, and then it will start logging the storing the logs as long as you use it, unless you go and delete. This is what CloudTrail is. Just a simple service, but very effective. Okay, this is one thing service called. Any doubts here? Anybody have any doubts? It's nothing. There's nothing much doubts here, right? So it's like this. Chalo, let's see one more service. So said that we'll see smaller service, right? Um, sorry. We have Glacier. Where is that? Yes, Glacier here. This CloudFront is, you can see it's like in progress. Let's come back to Glacier here. So this Glacier is like it's a storage service, right? We have already seen a couple of storage services like EBS and S3 and all. So and we have seen instance store as well, right? AWS instance store and S3. So this is very kind of related to S3. I mean, it's an object file and object storage, right? But we already have, you might have a question like, we already have S3, so why we need Glacier, right? So Glacier is actually, it's an extremely low cost storage service. Extremely low cost storage service, which means flat 80% on this S3. So if you're paying, let's say, $20 for a 1 TB per month, then if you store the same content of 1 TB in Glacier, you'll pay only just $4 per month. Instead of paying $20, you can pay only for just $4. Flat 80%. That's what, it's a very cheap. And but it does not have the rich options what we have in S3. Like we have a lot of options we have seen, right, in S3. But we don't have those many options. It's just a pure storage, only used for storage, nothing else. Okay. And then as we discussed in S3, the maximum file size which we can upload to S3 is 5 TB, a single file size. But here, Glacier, it is more actually. So you can upload a single file size which is up to 40 TB. 40. Okay, it's 40. I mean, we cannot have that much bigger files, but if you have, remember that this might be an interview question. Okay, and then same like S3, if you want to upload the data, we have to create a bucket. So here also the concept is similar, a similar thing called vault. Vault is just like container, same like bucket. Okay, and to do that, let's click on create a vault, give some name. So in which region you are creating, obviously in the same region wherever you are, you can go and do it. And it's this is not unique like S3. I mean, the bucket name should be unique across AWS S3 in S3 bucket for S3 bucket, but this is not like that. Okay, so click on next step. And if you want to enable some notifications with SNS, you can do that, but I don't want to do that. Let's go. Click on submit so that it will be created. And one more thing is that the big thing is that in S3, when you click on the bucket, what will happen? You'll go into the bucket. But when you click on vault, you will not go into that actually. It will just open you some details, all the tagging and permissions, all the things will be displayed, nothing else. I mean, from console, you cannot upload the data to it. Then how can we upload the data to vault, to Glacier, right? So we have to use some tools. Okay, either we have to use CLI or there are some tools. What are the tools? I'll just give you some tool, a free tool called Fast Glacier. It's very similar to the S3 browser what we have just seen in IAM. Okay, just download it. So we have to use some tool like this to upload and download the data. By default, we cannot access from console data and all those things. Let's click on open and we'll install it. Accept and next install. It's very similar. As I told, it will ask for the same access key and seekers access key. We cannot use console username password because we are not integrating with AWS using this console, right? So same. Copy the secret access key and then the access key ID. You see another use case of the access keys and secret access keys. Click on add. It's very similar. You see that? It's very similar to the S3 browser only. Or you can say it's same. And if you see, these are all the regions, but you see all the regions listed here. Excuse me, guys. 1 second. All the regions doesn't have any this plus symbol. Here only we have, because in that means in our account only we have an vault here only. If you expand it, you can see that this is a vault. You can create a new vault, you can delete the vault, you can upload, download, all the things you can do it, right? But the main idea of Glacier is that it's in more or less into the archival storage. Means if you have some which you will not frequently need it, you want to store it in cloud, but you will not access this frequently, then you can go with this S3 Glacier vaults. Infrequent accessible data, you can go with this, and you will be like getting for what, flat 80% on S3, which is very good, right? You're getting a lot of price reduction compared to S3. If that is a just data, okay. If you want to delete, you can go and delete the vault. Simple. It's a self-explanatory. I don't need to tell, right? And let's come back and see, is it deployed? No, it's still running. Let's go and see one more tool. There is one called Trusted Advisor, but this I will not give much information now because it might need some more information actually. Okay. Because we need to understand the pricing to understand more on this. To understand is what is this trusted advisor and all those things, right? But let's say we'll try to kind of understanding the basics. Anyway, we'll discuss the pricing tomorrow. Okay. Let's try to understand. Here, this see this word advisor. What advisor means basically. So normally, who is an advisor? Who can give some suggestions, right? Advices. So this advisor is a very small tool or a service provided by AWS. It's very small, very simple tool. And what it will do, it will give us some suggestions. What kind of suggestions it will give is that it will give on the suggestions on how you can reduce the cost, how you can improve the performance, how you can improve the security, how you can have a proper fault tolerance. And the service limits means normal service limits. We have seen sometimes we might see some service limits. If you want to increase, we can see that, right? So it's nothing. Okay, but these four are main important ones. So it will provide us the suggestions to give us on all these four fields. Let's take an by default on under free tier, it will only gives the suggestions on security. Okay, but if you have a support license, we have developer license, enterprise license. While creating the AWS account, while signing up, we have seen that, right? So if you have a support license, then AWS will give you the advices and all these things. Okay, so they will not take anything. I mean, they will not charge you for giving the suggestions. But if you want to give that suggestions, first you need to have that license. It's like that. Okay, and the information will be provided like this. So if everything, I mean, if whatever they will check your whole account actually. In a whole account, it will check and it will tell you on how we can reduce cost, how we can improve performance, how we can improve security, and all those things. Now you can see based on my account, there are like 4 are yes, means green are there, so it's good, secured, and there are no warnings here, but there are 2 action recommended items are there. These are in red. So warnings will be in amber or yellow or orange. Uh, I mean, good things are in green and the bad things, very bad things in the red. I can see what are those things. You see that this one, MFA and root account. It's saying that MFA, as we already seen in IAM, right? MFA should be available or enable at least for root account. So it's not saying for Gaurav and all. We have the Gaurav account as well, but it's not saying Gaurav account. It's only saying for what? Only the root account. Okay, this is what. But the same way, it will give you the performance and cost optimizations and all those things. You see that upgrade to support plan to unlock all trusted advisor recommendations. It's like that. So, but in the organizations, you will be having the support plan for sure in your client, in your customers account and all. So there, if you need some suggestions to, get from AWS, and then go to this tool, it will give you some list. Here it will give you the information and all. If you just open it, it will give you more information. What is that and all those things. So based on that, you can go through it, and then you see the recommended action also. So it will tell you what to do to reduce that, to reduce the cost, to reduce the to implement high availability, to implement the fault tolerance and all those things. Based on that, you can go and implement that. Okay, so like this is one more tool. It's a trusted advisor. It's very simple. And then we have one more thing called snowball. So if you have, let's say, a lot of um, what I can say, a lot of data in your organization, and you want to transfer the data to cloud, but it's like hexabytes of data and all those things. It's, I mean, a lot of data, very huge data. So, I mean, you cannot upload it to S3 or maybe Glacier over the internet. It might take years of time. In that case, you want kind of like you have a very huge amount of data, and you don't want to be stored in on-premise. You want to be stored in AWS, right? With S3 or some Glacier or something like that. But you need like some kind of a solution where you can do it very fast, right? So in that case, what you can do is you can use this snowball. Snowball is basically, it's kind of a device. I'll just show you how it will be look like. AWS snowball. It's kind of a briefcase kind of a thing. It's look like that actually, like this. You see, this snowball means it will look like this. It will have all the different ports actually, USB ports and RJ45 ports and all those things. Okay, so we need to apply this. So we need to request for AWS to get this device. Okay, and we need to tell that what is the requirement also. So when we click on create a job and ask them, I need this snowball and all, then what AWS will. So while you're creating that job request, you need to provide your location, address, and all those things, and then they will be ship this device to your account, sorry, your location, and then you connect to your local LAN and copy the data to it. Instead of going to the over the internet, it will be copied here, and then AWS will give their location information, I mean the address. So you just need to send back on that address from where it came. And then once they received it, they will connect to the AWS platform. And in your account, it will be visible. So you can copy the data to S3, or you can integrate with your applications hosted on EC2 or something like that. You can do it. That's what this one is called. Okay. And there is one more thing. This is what Snowball is. Okay. It's a very small things. Okay. I'm going very quickly, but it's very small things actually. And then we have direct connect. Where is that? This one, direct connect service. Okay. Now we have seen the snowball device. Okay, that is only for one time data migration from your organization to S3, organization to AWS. But if you want to have some kind of a solution where data will be flown between your on-premise and your uh, and the cloud, let's say. So you want kind of some solution there. Your requirement is that, I mean, data will be flown from your organization to the AWS infrastructure. Like every time it will come, uploads, downloads, you'll do a lot of things. So you need some kind of a solution where you need has some kind of have a direct communication channel. So that's where we can go with this, what direct connect. So what is this direct connect is basically means. So let's take an example. You have your office is there, okay, somewhere here. This is your organization on from. And when you opt for direct connect, what will happen is that, let's say this is the AWS infrastructure, AWS region, let's say local region. This is Mumbai region, okay, and you're in, let's say, Bangalore. Your office in Bangalore, Hyderabad, somewhat wherever it is. Okay. Now, when you apply for direct connect, what they will do is, so already AWS will have some leased line connections with the ISPs, internet service providers, leased line connections with a lot of ISPs. So means they will be having a direct connection. I mean, direct tunnel will be there. It's not like over the internet. A direct leased line will be there. It's like it's a cable actually. You can say that it's a cable will be from here to here. So when you want this direct connect, when you apply for direct connect, what will happen is that, so whichever the ISP is near to you or in your city, what AWS will do is AWS will create a pull a cable. Simple, in our simple terms, you can say that they will pull a cable. They'll connect via the wire, so that your data, which is going to AWS and from your on-prem, so it will be gone through this connection. Like this, it will go. It will not go over the internet. So it will be secure, and as well as it will be faster. That is what direct connect means. And while applying for direct connect, you can have options like 1 GB and as well as 10 GB. Means 1 GB per second speed, 10 GB per second speed. Okay, you can specify the speed, which one you want. Your 1 GB is fine for you per second, or 10 GB, whatever you can specify. It will be a physical cable I'm talking about. Physical cable. It's not logical one. And so that's what I'm saying. They will pull a cable. You can say that. Okay. So this is what basically the direct connect. Okay. I mean, these are all the snowball direct connect. These are all price effective, cost effective. So for under free tier, or you and me cannot try it out. Okay. Just understand the thing. And there is one more service, which one more. It's same kind of snowball and direct connect, which is called Snowmobile. I'll just show in maybe in a YouTube so that you can understand. I'll show you in the YouTube. Okay, I'll just Snowmobile. Okay. Oh, sorry. This one. Okay, let's see. I'll show you one thing here. Is the CEO of AWS. This one. So this is a big truck actually. It's coming, right? There's a big truck is coming here. So this truck is actually called as Snowmobile. Okay. So if you have exabyte scale data and you want to move to AWS, exabyte means it's very huge of amounts of data. Okay. And if you want to move it to AWS, then this is the solution for you, this truck. So what you can do is you just need to um, apply for AWS, and what they'll do, they will just send you the truck. They will send you the truck, okay, and then this truck will actually, what it will do is it will come to your location and you connect your infrastructure with this truck and then copy all the data, and then once the copy is over, then the same truck will be delivered to, will came back to AWS infrastructure, AWS locations, and then they will connect that the container is there, right? See that the container, that container, this container is there, right? So that container will be connected to AWS infrastructure again. So if you have like exabyte thing, then you can go with this one. Okay. So if you have like large data sets, so why we use this one? So we have seen already Snowball and the direct connect. We have used it, right? So what is the advantage of this one? This truck, this snowmobile is that. So just simply show you one advantage here. You can see in this video only, he will give you that idea. Just tell you so that you can understand. Yeah, this is this one. So let's say if you have some hexabyte storage, let's say we have some exabyte storage, let's say 1 exabyte storage you have, and if you want to send or if you want to upload to AWS over a 10 Gbps data connection, that direct connection, using the direct connect 10 Gbps, if you start uploading, let's say if you start upload now a 1 exabyte storage and 1 exabyte data, it will take, the 10 Gbps line, it's very big, right? 10 Gbps means it's very with full speed. So even that, it will take around 26 years to upload the data to AWS infrastructure. 26 years means like whoever the guy who started that process, within that time he will like maybe he might terminate, or maybe he might like retire also. Around 26 years means, wherein if you use this snowmobile, this truck, the same exabyte data will be transferred to AWS infrastructure within less than 6 months. That much capacity it has, that much speed it can deliver your data to AWS. So that's what, this is one more thing, it's called snowmobile. Okay, these are all basically if you want to migrate your data, upload your data to S3 in different forms, right? So if you are very small, go with snowball, terabytes of data snowball. And if you want direct kind of a connection, data will flow between your headquarters, your organization on premise with AWS, then you can go with direct connect. If you have large sets of data, hexabyte, then you have to go with snowmobile. Okay, these are all the things which can have the options in here. And then we'll see some more. Okay, let's come back. I think we've completed almost the small services. Let's come back to here. Yeah, you see that it's done. This has been completed. You see this? So the CloudFront distribution has been completed. Now, what AWS will do is, when we create the CloudFront distribution, same like when we create an load balancer, what it will do, it will create an endpoint, right? So the same way, Same way, when we create a CloudFront distribution, it will create a endpoint. This is the endpoint here, the domain name. And you can use this domain name to access your application. You see that this is the application we just installed on that Linux machine. Simple. Okay. Now, but in the real time, we'll not use this, right? We'll not use this domain name, some de4.cloudfront.net, will not use it. So what we'll do is we already told CloudFront that we want to use this name, right? So what we need to do is we need to go to the Route 53 DNS and then create that media.gravenlabs.com record, pointing to select the CNAME and then point it to this one. So whenever any user access your website media dot something, the request, what Route 53 will do, Route 53 will send that request to that domain name, CloudFront. And then CloudFront means it's not a single server, right? It's not a single server. So based on the user location, it will forward a bit to the it will forward to the nearest location server, right? And this we need to do it in the Route 53. This that we already know. We update a lot of times, so I don't want to do that, right? And then here there is one more option, like you can have reports and analytics here, like how much data has been stored in the CloudFront servers. You can see here, because we just created, right? I mean, it will take some time to create these all. It's like CloudWatch kind of a thing, monitoring and all. And here we can create some alarms and all those things based on how many requests are coming, how much data transfer has been done from CloudFront to, I mean, the CloudFront servers to your actual server, and from CloudFront servers to your users, like that. And popular objects, which means like um, which are the pages or the links have been mostly used. I mean, in your application, you'll have like things, right? Which link, which article got highest request and all that we can see here. It will give the link and it will tell you how many requests came and all those things like this. Top referrals, which means, let's say, uh, as we discussed while creating the CloudFront, we can select multiple names. In that we can enter and we can have multiple names, right? We have given only media.gravenlabs.com. So in that case, let's take an example with Gmail is there. You can access Gmail by using gmail.com or mail.google.com or accounts.google.com. So these are all basically the single URL for same application. Sorry, multiple URLs for same application, right? So if Google wants to know like which domain they are using, which website, I mean, which URL link they are mostly using to access. So I'll hope mostly people will go with mail.google.com or maybe gmail.com, right? Somebody will go with this, somebody will go with that. So if you want to see like with which name people have most accessed, how many requests came for mail.google.com or how many requests came for www.gmail.com, something like that. So then this is what basically top reference means. So if you have multiple names for your application, so which name has how many count, what is the percentage and all those things it will give. Just these are all just the reports, nothing else. Okay. And then usage. So this, to understand usage, we need to understand the CloudFront pricing. Okay. So CloudFront basically, let's go to CloudFront pricing. So that we can understand. Let's go. So obviously we can use under free tier, we can use CloudFront. There is no question. Okay, free tier. So under free tier, you see that 50 GB of data transfer out means from the servers, 50 GB of the data transfer out. Means, let's say if you go back to here, in this case, what is happening? The data is stored in here in this server, right? And from this server only the data is going to this user, the girl. It's going to this, right? So while sending the information, so under free tier 50 GB is only allowed per month. I mean 50 GB of content. It's very big for our practice, but that's what data transfer out from CloudFront servers. Okay, and then 2 million HTTP or HTTP requests. I mean, which are coming from the users like this, like this. So 2 million are fee per month. If you crossed more than that, then you'll be charged. Okay, and the pricing is also the same. Based on like how much data is transferred, they will charge, and based on the count, they will charge. Okay, and if we come back here, you can see how many number of requests have been used. You can monitor here the graph, but it's not there because we just created. It will take some time to be published information, and how much data transferred, how much MBs, GBs of data has been transferred. We can be able to see. That is also again like CloudWatch. Last 14 days we'll be able to see. It's like that. And then these kind of viewers, it's kind of a magic, you can say that. The last one, it says like which devices your customers use to access your website. Means some people access the website using laptops and desktops. Some people use mobile phones these days to access your applications, right? Yes or no? So if you want to see like which devices they have used to access, like desktop, tab, smartphones, they will be listed here. Now you can see it is listed desktop only because I just accessed only from a laptop. And browsers, I mean, which browsers they have used to log in, I mean, access your application. Different people use different browsers, right? Now we access using Chrome, it's listed Chrome. And operating systems also. I mean, from which operating system they have accessed. Now you can see it's only Windows because mine is Windows. And then locations, it's more or less, it's very important, interesting. So from where your request came, just only 12 requests came from India. So if it is by country, it will give the information so that you can see like which country people are more accessing your website, and based on that, what you can do, you maybe add some more content relevant to those guys. I mean, those content relevant to those countries and all this, so that you'll get more visits, more customers. It means more business. It's like that. Okay, these are basically, it's all about the cloud front. And if you want to delete the cloud, so we have created, right? So if you want to delete, simple, select this. You cannot directly delete it. You see, this is not available. It's grayed out. So first, what we need to do, we need to disable it. We need to disable it, and then we can go and delete it. We can't directly disable it. First, we need to disable. Yes, to disable. And again, this will also will take around 15 minutes. You can see the status is kind of in progress. Okay, this will take around again. Will take, okay, and once it is done, once it is done, it will be shown as deployed, and then you go and select, and then delete will be available. The option of delete will be available. You can go and simply delete it. It's like that. It will take again, as I told, it will take again 15 minutes. Okay, so this is what basically is a CloudFront is all about. Okay, so anybody have any questions on today's session? So, and one more thing, guys, um, one more important note. Tomorrow we'll be having the class at the same time, means not 1 p.m. It will be on our normal time, which is 8 a.m. only. Tomorrow 8 a.m. only. Remember this. So I've completed my work. So I don't want to be a class in afternoon time, right? So I don't want. This is not the best time to have a class, but we don't have any option. So that's why we did it today. But we'll have tomorrow 8 a.m. only. I think Cognitia team also sent that information in the mail. I think I told them to do that. I think they did that. They said they have already sent that information, right? So tomorrow we'll meet 8 a.m. only, 8 a.m. IST in the morning only, and tomorrow will be the last session. Okay, there are like few more some small services there, 3 or 4 services there. Okay, then after that we'll go with some live projects. I'll give you some live projects. I'll implement it here, and then we'll go with the certification things and all. Okay, that's for like tomorrow session. So tomorrow you might have a kind of a big session because it's a last session, right? So you might accept maybe around 12:1 kind of. The session might go up to 12:1 because the last session, right? It might always be bigger. I mean, usually my batches, the last session, I will have a big time, but it's not like I will teach you something and you'll always be listening to me. It's not like that. Tomorrow is not that kind of a session. It's a different session tomorrow. Okay. Yes, tomorrow is the last session. A simple. Who's that? Prudvi. You need to just send an email to support@cognitia.com. We are all monitoring that email box. I will respond to you. We'll all respond, Prithvi. No worries on that. But I will not like continuously monitor that inbox, right? So because I will be in training and I will be obviously I have to go to from Monday to Friday. I have to be in the organization office, right? So, but most of the time, like you can within 1 or 2 days, you can expect that I will respond to your queries and all, even after the completion of the sessions as well. Um, Manjusha, I mean, you can see the links in the sessions, right? I've copied from the browser only, right? Just did like this. So you maybe just look that in the session and write it. Simple. You just need to send an email, Sindhusri. Send an email to support@cognitia. They will provide you. Say that I need Route 53 credentials, they will provide you. I told you that we'll see the process, right? Neha, that's what I'm saying. We'll see the only process, not like the procedure. I'll tell you like how we can do it. Same like we just go with the things, right? The same way I will explain you tomorrow. Remind me so that I will tell you. Even the scripts also will have some link, right? Manjusha? The scripts also will have the link. Just see that link and then you can get it. No, which script you're talking about? WordPress script? That I've gave it in the uh, user data bootstrapping section. Simple. Otherwise, I'll just give it to you. Why you need to have? I'll just show you the link. I'll just share the link now. Okay, I'm sending it to you. Just with Manjusha, right? You only need. I've sent you that link, Manjusha. Copy. You can copy it. Certification we'll discuss tomorrow, Prudvi. Related to the certification things, we'll discuss tomorrow. All the things which are related to certification. So if you have any questions, concerns, queries, see you all tomorrow. That will be the last thing in our training. Remember that we'll be having the class at 8 a.m. only, okay? Not afternoon, in the morning itself. And as I told, it will be a big session, like around 4-5 hours, not just 3 hours. Yes, tomorrow 8 a.m. only. True. Tomorrow will be the last session. I've completed my things actually. Seems to be everything is done from from that maintenance what we had. So it seems like it's done. So we don't need to go tomorrow. I thought it will be there for 2 days, but it's like we have done it in 1 day. Yep, seems now. Until we just made it things live, so we need to wait for like 2 to 3 days from Monday because customers will come from Monday, right? So people are did some testing and all those things. Everything is good, but when we have the real data, like the real customers, when we come, then we can be able to know. Mostly it is will not have much issues, but yes, it will be. No worries, Sandeep. Anyway, this will be, this will be recorded, right? So you can obviously, when you get time, you can go and watch the session. If it is not recorded, then you need to worry like, how can I cover the things? But it's recorded. It's always there as long it's a lifetime access. At any point of time, you can cover. Yes, that's more than enough, Manjusa. RDS was showing it is maybe you might have charged for that. $0.01 is what, Sandeep? What is that? How much it is? Yeah, it might you have been completed more than that, or maybe you have used something, some feature, maybe multi-AZR kind of thing, which is not comes under free tier, maybe. Yeah, I can understand, Sandeep. That's fine. Good. Chalo, guys. I think we don't have much questions tomorrow. Um, we'll have 8 a.m. only. As I told, we'll be having the class at morning only. Okay. Chalo, guys. As we don't have much questions now, we'll meet you tomorrow. Okay. Yes, we'll be having, obviously. For every session, we'll have Sandeep. Not today. Every session will be there in LMS. All are 15, 16 sessions. Everything will be there. You just check with them that they'll re-upload. No worries. You ask them the file name and all, they will upload it. That's fine. You know, right, which is PDF is for which and all, because they are not the technical persons as you and me. So what they'll do is they will upload sequentially. They don't know like which topics and which is this, what is CloudFront or what is Route 53, what is VPC. They'll not understand. That's fine, no worries. As long as you're getting all the things in the LMS, it's fine. Orders doesn't matter, right? It's only the thing you have the access or not. That's it. Okay. Chalo, guys. We'll meet you tomorrow, 8 a.m. IST, right? And that will be the last session. Thank you, guys. Meet you tomorrow. Bye. Oh, 1 second.